go on a mission. Every time I land on the back of the ship, I get our crew down safely, or we're in that environment. I always feel like that is a huge accomplishment. There's a huge amount of crew coordination that goes into landing a helicopter to a ship.
Week school that at the end of it we were designated just as general airmen, so we got to pick a rate once we came to the Navy. I went to my first squadron, which was HC6 in Norfolk, Virginia, and worked on H-46s, and I got to the
Yeah. I've never seen this.
Yeah, that's what
Huh?
we never seen this.
Hello.
Master.
Mousetronaut.
That's cute.
Oh, this is what they were talking about, the aviation.
Look at that. That's real. Well, look at this one.
Everybody drawing on the table.
Is it jumping camera? It's Pikachu, look.
Alright, people, there's a whole bunch of kids that made it. Draw this. Let's take a look at their drawing. What is this?
Oh, it's the solar system. You got the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. They did it on purpose. Oh, their soda is.
Jupiter's head.
I wonder if they.
There was multiple different ways you could do knots. That's cool. Hmm?
They got a little typewriter too. That's pretty cool.
Tokyo Bound.
And you don't see that they're painted.
Alright, so what this is right here is the rainbow wardrobe. Not what you really think it is, but white means air wing quality control personnel, squadron plane is inspector, landing signal officer, LSO, air transfer officer, ATO, liquid oxygen, LOX, crew safety observers, medical personnel. That's for white. For brown, it's going to be air wing plane captain, air wing line leading petty officers. Red is ordnanceman, crash and salvage crew, explosive ordnance disposal, EOD, which they call them. Yellow is aircraft handling officers, catapult and arresting gear officers, plane directors. That's for the yellow. For green is catapult and arresting gear crew, air wing maintenance personnel, cargo handling personnel, ground support equipment, GSC, troubleshooters, hook runners, photographers, helicopter landing, signal, enlisted personnel, LSE. Blue is plane handlers, aircraft elevator operators, tractor drivers, messengers, and phone talkers. Purple is aviation fuels, nicknamed grapes. And that's all the little things that you can talk about. A nice jacket. That's a real leather jacket. Man.
It must be a heavy coat too.
Yeah. They got the gloves.
Look at that helmet. Got that checkered pattern right there.
estimates of recorded air-to-ground transmissions have accumulated during the recent change of ship press conference here at the Pathology Center. We'll take back now.
Ghost to ghosts. I believe this is where they put their missiles, their cannons. Let's see if we can see my car. And then it goes out that way.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, let's go. This way. Alright. How do we get over there? Hello.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon. Whew. That was a run. Oh, they don't got their things up for the thing. I'll start off over there.
Look at this.
All right,
So-
they're ready for you to go up, and these are going to be the best pictures you ever saw of the city.
Okay.
Bill's waiting for you right up there as soon as we get out.
Okay.
Bill, I'll see you next week. Okay. Thank you.
So you got all that. All right, well, let me show you guys this real quick. You see this right here?
That's true.
Is that it's a little a stethoscope thingy thing. Hey, but this is pretty cool though. I seen this how this worked. Okay. Yeah, let's go upstairs.
Weird day.
Weird day.
Around here?
Yes. San Leandro.
Okay. You know the Bay Area then.
It's like sometimes it's sunny and sometimes it's not. I was expecting it to be sunny right now.
I thought it would burn off, yeah.
But usually
It's gonna be cloudy. When I look at
it's
the
like
way.
down below this. It's like you have this tables all set up, the chairs all set up right there. I was waiting for it to like all like the overcast disappear, but
Yeah, sometimes it does. Usually it does. I mean, there's been many days when we've been clear, and it'll clear off early, and you can still see the fog over San Francisco. So,
we haven't came in here yet.
you've never been up here?
No, the last time when we came over here was
It was. I think it was the lower.
yeah
part
the
of this
lower
area.
part of it on this side.
Yeah.
Well, this is primary flight control. Essentially, it's the ship's control tower.
Oh.
The guy in charge up here is called the air boss, and he's responsible for everything that happens on the flight deck and on the hangar deck.
What's it do?
So when the captain is ready to either launch or recover, he turns operation over to the air boss. Now, most of the action's happening on the deck, so there isn't a whole lot to talk about up here.
Yeah.
But it is a good place to get an overview of the deck. And of course, what you're looking at is the third generation of this ship, because it's been rebuilt. Yeah, it gets warm up here.
Yeah. I guess.
Here, we can turn this on.
That's why they got it right.
We have a big fan up here, but if I turn it on,
Yeah. It was
you can't hear me talk.
Oh wow. Okay.
Wait, it's like right
That's
above us. Here, I'm gonna let everybody see this real quick. So this is what he was talking about. You can see the whole
If that helps.
Oh wow.
thing.
That's a problem in late afternoon in the summertime or in the fall. Winter,
Yeah.
when it's cold outside, it's usually nice and warm. up
Yeah.
here. Okay, so originally we didn't have the angle out there. It's a straight deck carrier. It looked
Right.
like this. Okay. And so everything in World War II happened on the center line. Of course, everything was propeller. So, and a propeller aircraft can launch on its own power, can do a free deck launch. And on a carrier, everything happens back to front. Okay, so when you're going to launch aircraft, all the aircraft are spotted on the aft end of the flight deck. Pilots come up, man the aircraft, and then they would bring them up one at a time to just below where we are now. They head back, kind of the back edge of the island, line them up on the center line, go to full power, release the brakes, you're flying by the time you hit the numbers down there. Now, once the deck is cleared, then the planes are going to land back there, catch a wire, and then they're going to taxi them up and park them up there. So everything flows this way.
And then they take off right here too.
They would take off from right about just below where we are. So you're going to start, you don't see a center line much down here anymore, but basically here to there. Keep in mind that you're starting with 30 knots of wind across the deck.
Yeah.
The wind doesn't care where the wind is coming from. So you only have to, and planes in that area probably stall 65, 70. So you only have to get, another 50 miles an hour or 50 knots, which you can easily do from here to there. Now, okay, back to front. So now back in those days, everybody that landed ahead of you was parked up there on the forward end of the flight deck. So back in those days, you didn't have any second shots. You got to stop the aircraft. And so to do that, they had 11 wire stretched across the deck. The idea was to catch the tail. Now, if you missed those, there was 5 more about this high. Catch the wheels. And then finally, there was an ion barrier across the whole deck.
Oh man.
Because really, look, this is what it looks like. You miss
So
all
pretty
these
much it's
wires,
just-
that's where you're going to end up. That's
It's
good.
pretty much like a net. It just captures you.
Yeah,
It
just
slows
captures
you
you.
down.
Yeah, the current version is like this. That's what the pylon. There's another one on the other side. You just barely see laying down.
Yeah.
But if you've got a plane in trouble, broken hook or something like that, can't do a normal landing, you bring those up and we dig a barrier across the nylon barrier. Okay, so the British came up with the idea, instead of landing the carrier down the deck, why don't we point him out over the water?
Yeah, that's how it seems.
That's right. And now they just kind of moved everything around on a straight deck carrier, but we picked up on the idea and added the angle out there. But that was the second rebuild. First rebuild came 1951 through 53. And what they were essentially doing was making a carrier jet ready for jet aircraft. A jet can't launch on its own power.
No, you need
Okay.
like one of those little slingshots.
Yeah, it needs a catapult.
Catapult.
Okay, so we did have it start with a small catapult on the port side. They took that out, added the 2 big ones they had. We took up all the small guns from World War II that were worthless in the jet age. And you may wonder why we have an escalator aboard the ship. We didn't put that in for you. Originally,
What? How long has the escalator been in
been
here?
in there since 1951.
Whoa.
And the reason for it was, originally, all of the ready rooms were under the flight deck. The idea was the pilots would man out on the catwalk, up on the flight deck, man the aircraft. The problem is, what you're looking at there is 3 inches of wood over about 3/8 of an inch of steel. Don't stop a bomb if you didn't. And there are lots of ready rooms in World War II. So in that rebuild, they moved the ready rooms down below the hangar deck where you came aboard. Because that's the armored deck on this ship. In fact, that's the main deck. Everything above that deck is superstructure. It doesn't look like it, but it is. So, and they put the escalator in to get you up to the flight deck faster. Because when you land an aircraft, you're carrying all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But now your escalator's not working? Or?
No, it does, but it's really old, hard to get parts, so we basically use it for handicap. You get them to the flight. Okay, so in 1956, we added the angle out here. And 2 things really happened in that time frame. One was the angled deck, and the other was the optical landing system. Remember Top Gun?
Yeah.
In the beginning of the movie, was bringing Cougar back, and the tower says, "Call the ball." The ball is the optical landing system. Okay? And what it did, it didn't replace the LSO, because we still have an LSO, but it replaced his patterns. Remember your World War II movie, the guy out there with the patterns?
Yeah.
Okay. In World War II, the pattern was you'd come down the port side of the ship at about 150 feet. Even with the angle end of the flight deck, you'll start a turn. all of those signals he's giving the pilot are you're too fast, you're too slow, you're too high, you're too low, you're turning too sharply, not sharply enough. The idea, because the deck's always moving, you can't see that from the air. So he wants to get you in a position to cut the power, land, and catch a wire. Well, the problem was, it worked okay in the first. Is that somebody down on the deck?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's right there.
Okay, that's fine. So I know what it is.
Yeah, I think he's trying to get your attention. You got my attention.
Joe, have you got a radio?
Yeah, I called you. Just covering for you.
Okay, that's fine. There's a couple of people. Do they want a tour?
When you walk back this way, I'll find out.
Okay, send them up, or you can take them.
So this is
Okay.
how everything looks on
So-
that part.
The problem was, when the second generation of jets came in, they were swept wing, and they couldn't do that low, tight turn. It's too dangerous. You had to start higher, farther back. The problem was you couldn't see this guy until the last minute. Couldn't give him enough information. So the British came up with the idea of the optical landing system. Okay, so we now have the angled deck and the optical landing system. This is what it looked like in my day. It was a mirror. Across the center of the mirror, you've got 12 ring lights, and the mirror focuses a series of yellow lights into the ball. And what it's doing is giving you glide slope, telling you the angle to come down. And it's a
similar-
mirror. Hmm?
Similar to a laser.
It's similar, okay? More like what they do now to set up Fresnel lenses. If you think of a lighthouse, those lights are all focused. That's kind of the idea, okay? So the idea is that, okay, it's a mirror, so the ball follows you. So if you go above the glide slope, you'll see it right up above that line. If you go below, you'll see it drop below that line. It looks like this.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So you got a ball. So now, in my day, the pattern was the same. You come down not at 150, but at 450.
So it kind of guides you more.
It does.
Gives
It
you
does.
the land.
It does. So you're flying three things. Okay? You come even with the end of the flight deck, you're going to start a turn. Except now you're a little bit higher.
Yeah.
And you're flying three things. Okay? You're going to pick the ball up in about this position. Okay? You're going to come around and line up on the center line, center the ball. The third thing you're flying is airspeed. Ball, center line, airspeed. It's a very simple exercise.
So the mirror, like if you're adjusting yourself, pretty much you have to do it yourself in a way.
You do.
To adjust it where like, okay,
You're
I won't see the
adjusting-
ball, okay, I won't be seeing the ball right there, and then you just kind of
Yeah, except that you're in an airplane. So you're
Yeah.
doing it with the airplane.
Yeah. I know you're talking.
And then you're flying a glide slope, okay? And it's a ball, so the light's like this. So when you're way out a mile back, you got the center is a big area, but it gets smaller and smaller and smaller as
As
you
you
get closer to the deck. Yeah. So it's
So it allows you, before they even had all the technology and stuff like that, that's what they use.
yeah.
That's what we use for printers nowadays. Cool, I like that.
Oh, certainly good to file a bunch of robocalls. Okay. So, yeah, you're flying three things. You're going to center the ball, you line up on the center line, and the third thing you're flying is this. Really a simple exercise. The thing that makes it so difficult is that essentially you're trying to hit a box about 4 feet square at well over 100 miles an hour.
then you gotta stop and then.
Well, that's okay. So there's nothing out here. Okay, so if we miss the wires, it's a touch and go. We just add power and go around again. Okay, so we don't need all those wires and barriers. So they took them all off, and originally this shows 5. They took the 5th one off, so now we have 4. And you can see the signs on the fence back there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are where the 4 wires are. Strung across the deck. We took them off basically because people triple foot. So, and they're 25.
Sending us 2.
Okay. So they're 25 feet apart, so you basically have 75 feet from one to 4. You're gonna land here, or you're just not gonna stop.
You just gotta correct yourself when you do it back up.
Yeah.
Come back from that landing.
Now we still have the LSO because he makes the decision as to whether you land or not. Okay, not the pilot, the LSO. There's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, the deck has to be ready for you. Okay, that means, and a lot of things have to happen. But, for example, the guy ahead of you has got to be clear of the arresting gear and out of the way. Clear of the landing area. The second thing that has to happen is they tension the wires for the weight of your aircraft. So you come around and you see the ball, you call the LSO, you tell them what you got the ball, and the next thing you tell them is how much fuel you have, because that's the biggest variable in the weight. And then a lot of other things have to happen. That's the guy up here is doing, making sure that they all happen in the right sequence. When the deck is ready, he will give the LSO a green light. The LSO is standing on that platform way back there. Okay? And he's watching the pilot as he comes in and talking to him. Usually it's a one-way conversation. Not always. Okay, so, and basically what he's looking for, are you anywhere near that box? Come on in. We're talking about carrier landing, so I'll back up a little bit. This is what the carrier deck looks like. Originally it was a straight deck carrier. We added the angle in 1956. A lot of people say it's so you can land and take off at the same time. The only time we ever did that was when we were doing requalification. Because the deck cycle works launch, then you're going to respot the deck, and then recover. And I told them earlier that everything on a flight deck works back to front. So you're going to launch, all the airplanes are in the back, and you're going to launch the aircraft, and then you're going to, once the deck is cleared, you'll recover the planes that are in the air. Okay, so, we're talking about landings now. With the angled deck and the optical landing system, the pattern is you come down we would come down the port side of the ship at about 450 feet. Even with the end of the flight deck, you're going to start a turn. You're going to pick up the optical landing system at about this position, okay? And the optical landing system is giving you glide slope. And you're flying 3 things. You're going to line up on the center line, you're going to center the ball, and the third thing you're flying is airspeed. Ball, center line, airspeed. Very simple exercise. As I told Dad, what makes it so difficult is you're trying to hit a box about 4 feet square at somewhere north of 100 miles an hour. Way north of 100 miles an hour. Okay. So the LSO is looking for 2 things. Once he's got a green light, are you anywhere near that box? If you're too far out of position, he's going to tell you forget it. Go around again and try it. The other thing he's worried about is what is the deck doing? The deck is always moving. Now, nice calm water like this, you're not really worried about it. But in heavy seas, you don't care about roll so much as you care about pitch. That deck is doing this. And the heavier the seas, the faster it moves. And it's like a pendulum on a clock. stop, pass through the center, stop, back in. You don't care if the depth is top dead center, bottom dead center, or going down. You do care if it's coming up. It's a hard enough landing without adding a fast moving deck to it. So if the deck's doing something squirrely, he's going to tell you to take it around. The way he did that, does it now, this is what the optical landing system looks like now. You can actually take a walk back and look at it. But instead of a mirror, it's a set of Fresnel lenses. Okay? Operates exactly the same way. You're going to center the ball. What it's doing is giving you glide slope. Okay? And I liken it to a mirror. There was a mirror in my day, but with a mirror, the ball moves with you. This does the same thing. It's just a set of Fresnel lenses. So if you go to above the glide slope, you can see the ball go above that line. You go below, you see it drop below.
So pretty much it's like similar to like one of those street lights. How the traffic lights are. You know, if you get a little bit too close, then you see the green, yellow.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. Okay, so if he wants you to land, he'll turn on the green lights on the top. If he wants you to go out, he does the turn on the red lights. And the one thing that could really get you into serious trouble with naval aviation is disobeying the LSA. You just simply do not do that. Okay, any questions? Okay, what we're going to do, down this ladder, around, and we're down one more ladder and into the chart room that you passed on the way.
Okay.
Okay?
So just a little brief. This is what it looks like. So they use the little mirrors just to censor the little dots to go up and down. I think you guys used that once before. And this is what the Fresnel lens optical landing system looks like. And they use similarities to the street lights, what you use to this day.
Coffee. That's where I learned to drink it black. You didn't always had coffee, but at 4 o'clock in the morning, you didn't always have sugar and cream. Okay, so this is navigation. The navigator's job is to know where the ship is at all times. Of course, in 1943, when the ship was first commissioned, we didn't have GPS or any of the neat toys that we have today. So they got their position the same way they had in the sailing ship days, using the stars. And what you're doing in celestial navigation is you're measuring the angle between a star and the horizon. That's what a sextant does. With the angle and the time. Time is critical. You can get latitude from the stars, but you cannot get longitude without time. So, time and angle. You can calculate a line of position on the Earth's surface. You're somewhere on that line. And if you do three stars, you should get yourself a nice tight little triangle. And you're somewhere in that triangle. It's actually pretty accurate. I'm told a good navigator can get you within half a mile. And at sea, that was plenty good until we started trying to fire missiles and needed a more accurate start point. But the problem with celestial navigation is you need stars and you need a horizon. And assuming you have reasonable weather, that only happens right after sunset and just before sunrise. When it's dark enough to see the stars, it's still light enough to see the horizon. So the way they figured out where they were in between is a process called dead reckoning. which is just measuring your course and speed or plotting it from your last known position. Now this device mechanized that process. It's called a dead reckoning tracer. So up here, come on over. Up here,
Hi,
you,
Deck Hanger Deck. FYI, there are 3 people seeing the video right now, and I'm sending one up, and after that we'll cap it, okay?
okay, Joe, are you still up here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, they're all yours. Okay.
No problem.
So up here you'd have a chart of whatever part of the world you're in. Not one quite this big. This is the whole Southwest Pacific. We'll talk about it in a minute. But it would be a chart of the local area. You'd get a position, you plot it on the chart, and underneath this glass is a cone that moves. Okay, so you'd line the cone up with the position you just plotted. You'd go in here and you set the latitude, the longitude, and the scale of the chart, turn it on. Now, we didn't call it that back in those days. This is a computer. It's mechanical instead of electrical. It's analog instead of digital. But what it's doing is taking the course and speed from these devices, and it'll track your position as you go along. It doesn't allow for current. It doesn't allow for wind. But unless you're going for a long time, it's reasonably accurate. Okay, let's go into the pilot house.
It's pretty gnarly.
You want to take pictures?
Huh?
You can take pictures anytime you want.
Yeah, I was doing that earlier.
Okay.
Today.